Hello, hello, hello. Bonjour tout le monde. Hey, hello. Bonjour tout le monde. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. First, let me acknowledge that this is the traditional territories of the Mississauga of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the Huron-Wendat. C'est les territoires traditionnels des Mississauga, Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, et Huron-Wendat. This is a wonderful day, a wonderful day. We are officially opening our Toronto Centre office. We have already launched the campaign, but it is always an incredibly important day when you open your office. This, of course, is something that we wanted to do as soon as we could. Now that we have the opportunity to actually work together, to be together, to have our volunteers congregate together, this is it. And what a fantastic location, right? I mean, this is... We are right here in the heart of the village. This is one of the beating hearts of Toronto Centre. This is a community where many of our volunteers, many of our members, this is their home as well, physically, literally their home. And so being here, being in this vibrant community, being in this community that was so supportive of us in the 2020 by-election is going to be really meaningful and also, let's be honest, a lot of fun. So in terms of Toronto Centre, I've said these things before, but Toronto Centre for me, if you're looking for an origin story for myself and my family, and I see my mom over there, I'm going to call you over in a second, Mommy. The origin story for us is really here in Toronto Centre. I was born in Toronto Centre. My mother's first job after becoming a qualified teacher in Canada was in Toronto Centre. That's part of the ambiance, the trucks. My grandmother, who was a nurse back in the Caribbean, when she came to Canada and wanted to continue at least caring for people, she became a personal support worker and a nurse's aide, and she worked in the hospitals in this riding as well. And so this is a place that means a great deal to our family. And for me, when I thought, where do I want to contribute my service? It was clear to me, as it has been, it was in 2019 and in the 2020 by-election, that I wanted it to be Toronto Centre. Toronto Centre is an incredibly special place. It's the smallest riding in the country and the densest riding in the country. It's a place where many new Canadians come to start their lives in Canada. It's an incredibly diverse riding, an incredibly active riding. It really is a microcosm of our country. So many of the issues that we are facing as a country, you can see them playing out here. Toronto Centre is a place where many people continue to struggle with addiction and with drug use. Unfortunately, it is entirely possible today that we will lose one of our valued community members here in Toronto Centre through opioid toxic poisoning. Toronto Centre is also a place, as I said, where we have many new Canadians, many people who are coming to start their lives in Canada. It's a place that is the centre of the urban Indigenous population in Canada. It's a place that is one of the least affordable ridings in the entire country as well. Even with all of this diversity and even with the challenges, this is a community that is incredibly resilient. And throughout the pandemic, everyone across the community, whether in low-income neighborhoods, high-income neighborhoods, they stepped in and said, what can I do to help my neighbor? What can I do to help my community? I have never encountered a place as civic-minded as Toronto Centre. It's doing all it can for itself. It's doing all it can to help itself. It needs some more help from the person that chooses to represent it. It needs a champion in Ottawa, and I want to be that champion. In the 2020 by-election, I was incredibly proud of our results. We didn't win the seat, but this is a seat that has been held for 27, almost 28 years now by the Liberal Party. And in 3 weeks, and that's all the time we had, 3 weeks, we were able to increase our voter share from 7% to 33% and to come a very strong second. So imagine what we could do and what we can do with a little more time. And this is a community, we said to them, be daring, you know, take that chance and take the opportunity for the real representation that the Green Party offers. Because even as the leader of the party, my first duty always is to the people who elected me. My first duty always is going to be to represent the constituents of this riding in Ottawa. And this is the reason why when Greens get elected, wherever they get elected, provincially and federally, they always stay elected. So we care about our communities. We are there to represent them. They are our first priority, and that is exactly what Toronto Centre deserves. The other rationale for being here in Toronto Centre and for running in Ontario, and many people have asked that question, you know, why here, is that I believe that the Green Party of Canada is ready to make its breakthrough in Ontario. We are ready to win seats in Ontario. We are ready to offer the representation that people in Ontario deserve, both at the federal level and the provincial level. And if we can do this here, and we will. And if we can win some other ridings that we're going for, like Phil DeLuna's riding in Toronto St. Paul's, like Mimi Lee's riding in Markham Thornhill, you know, we absolutely, if we can do that, we can, in fact, come here, you two. Come here. Come here. Okay? Yeah, oh, and Adrian Curry in Davenport, come on over. If we can win these ridings, then we can show that you know, that green representation has come to Ontario. I'm from Ontario. I know that the kind of green voices that we can bring to Ottawa and bring to the Ontario legislature matter and will make a difference in people's lives. All right. All right, so this is the beginning, and I'm excited. Alors, aujourd'hui, c'est le lancement, c'est l'ouverture de notre bureau ici à Toronto Centre. Nous sommes énormément fiers d'avoir ouvert notre bureau. Non, c'était malheureusement, on n'avait pas l'opportunité de le faire en avant parce qu'on est en conséquence de la pandémie. Mais maintenant, on peut le faire. Maintenant, nous sommes là. Nos bénévoles vont travailler ici. Les membres de notre équipe vont travailler ici. Et c'est un incroyable endroit, non? Ici, au cœur du village. Pour nous, c'est un endroit historique, c'est un endroit où beaucoup de nos bénévoles, beaucoup de nos membres, ils habitent. Alors, pour nous, nous sommes vraiment fiers d'avoir choisi ici pour notre bureau. Moi, je suis née à Toronto Centre. Ma mère a commencé sa carrière comme enseignante ici à Toronto Centre. Ma grand-mère a travaillé comme aide-soignante dans les hôpitaux ici à Toronto Centre. Alors nous, comme une famille d'immigrants, nous avons choisi, comme beaucoup d'autres immigrants, de commencer notre vie ici au Canada, à Toronto Centre. Ici à Toronto Centre, c'est vraiment un petit exemple de tous les enjeux au niveau national. Ici, c'est un des endroits, une des circonscriptions le moins abordables au Canada. Ici aussi, c'est le centre du communauté autochtone urbaine. Ici, malheureusement, c'est le centre de l'épidémie d'empoisonnement toxique causée par les opioïdes. Ici aussi, on a beaucoup de personnes de faibles revenus aussi. Il y a des taux énormément élevés de pauvreté parmi les enfants aussi. Alors, si on veut vraiment adresser les grands enjeux, les grands thèmes, on doit les faire ici à Toronto Centre. Les gens dans cette communauté sont énormément généreux. Pendant la pandémie, ils ont trouvé des centaines de petits actes et grands actes pour aider leurs voisins et voisines. Ils font tout ce qu'ils peuvent pour aider leur communauté. Ils sont énormément civiques, mais ils ont besoin de plus d'aide. Ils ont besoin d'un champion à Ottawa pour travailler pour eux chaque jour. Moi, je veux être ce champion. Je veux leur offrir une vraie représentation. Alors aussi, on cherche à créer notre base ici en Ontario. C'est le moment à le faire. Moi, je suis née ici en Ontario. Nous avons des excellents candidats et candidates ici. Il y a 3 ici aujourd'hui. Notre candidat Phil DeLuna de Toronto St. Paul's, Adrian Curry de Davenport et Mimi Lee de Markham Thornhill. Nous avons la chance de le faire. Nous avons vu dans l'élection partielle en 2020 qu'on a réussi à croître notre vote de 7% à 33% dans 3 semaines. Alors, imaginez-vous les possibilités d'une élection pleine avec un bureau formidable, avec une équipe formidable et avec le temps de vraiment nous mettre en contact avec les personnes ici à Toronto Centre. On peut le faire. Nous sommes ici pour gagner. Ça commence aujourd'hui. Et je suis tellement content d'avoir l'appui de tous nos bénévoles aujourd'hui. Je remercie tout le monde qui a travaillé tellement fort déjà pour réussir ici à Toronto Centre. Et c'est parti. Merci beaucoup. Okay, my entire family except for my mother is working right now. So mommy, come say hi to the folks. All right, okay. This is my mom, that's right. And just down at Lord Dufferin, who knows Lord Dufferin? Down at the corner of Parliament and Dundas. That's where my mom started her teaching career here in Toronto. And you will see her most days going forward, handing out flyers on her own. She doesn't like to be slowed down being part of a team. Right, Mommy? Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. Okay, yep. Thank you. All right, Mommy. Okay, oh, and my mother-in-law, come. Yeah. It's a family affair. And father-in-law. This is my mother-in-law, my father-in-law. Always there to support me, and these are definitely the 2 most tireless volunteers, absolutely. And David's a close second. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you. Okay. All right. I'm ready for any questions.
Bonjour.
Parce que l'objectif aujourd'hui, c'est d'ouvrir notre bureau ici à Toronto Centre, c'est de lancer un peu plus formellement notre campagne ici à Toronto Centre. Et je peux dire honnêtement, après plusieurs jours de passer dans la communauté, de m'introduire finalement à la porte à les résidents de cette circonscription, que leur intérêt, ce n'est pas dans les enjeux internes de notre parti. Ils me demandent pourquoi il y a des couvertures à la prestation d'urgence. Ils me demandent qu'est-ce qu'ils vont faire en tant qu'aînés avec le taux élevé quand il va magasiner. Ils me demandent comment il peut trouver un logement abordable. Alors honnêtement, ça c'est les concerns de cette communauté. Moi, je suis vraiment ciblée sur les prochaines élections. Je suis vraiment ciblée sur gagner ici à Toronto Centre pour offrir une meilleure représentation aux gens ici. Alors, mes intérêts sont les intérêts des gens ici à Toronto Centre.
C'est clair que les électeurs qui font des élections, étonnant et puis votre parti conteste la décision d'arbitrage de faire faudrait l'expliquer.
Oui, bon, c'est quelque chose d'assez nouveau, mais je peux dire que ce n'est pas le parti qui le conteste, c'est quelque chose qui était comme des autres actes lancés par un très petit groupe, vraiment un groupe minoritaire. Je ne veux pas entrer dans les détails parce que désolée pour tous les camions. Je n'entre pas trop dans tous les détails, mais comme j'ai dit, il y a un groupe, ils sont en train de sortir de notre conseil. Leur terme se termine en août. Alors, pour moi, c'est tellement important d'être ciblé sur notre travail ici à Toronto Centre, de vraiment aller parler des enjeux qui concernent les gens ici à Toronto Centre et partout au Canada. Et de ne pas laisser notre parti être trop distrait par ces enjeux. Parce que nos membres, nos bénévoles, nos candidats et candidates, ils ont besoin, ils méritent une certainité. C'est mon travail de l'offrir. C'est ça que je suis en train de faire. Et oui, je demande à tout le monde un peu de patience et de vraiment regarder vers l'avenir de notre parti, de regarder vers nos candidats et candidates excellents qui se présentent dans leur circonscription.
Okay, Ms. Paul, we're going to take questions from the media on Zoom. We'll begin with one question, one follow-up. Nous allons commencer avec des questions sur Zoom. Il y a une question, un suivi. We will begin with Alex Ballingall from the Toronto Star. Please go ahead, Alex. One question, one follow-up. Thank you.
Hi, thanks very much. Forgive me if you said this in French. The sound was a bit garbled, so I might have missed this. But in response to this legal application that the party and the fund filed yesterday, are you going to file a response in court? And what is your response in general to the arguments they're making about why the results of the arbitration process should be overturned?
So thank you, Alex. And yes, you know, as we do press events here, the trucks and whatnot are absolutely going to be part of it. This is one of the areas that has the highest concentration of new condo developments in the city. Much of them, of course, unaffordable to the residents that have historically lived here. So it's just part of the ambiance of a press conference with me going forward. I should have answered the same question that I was asked in English, just to say that you know, what has occurred yesterday is similar to what has occurred previously, which is these are the actions of a small group of outgoing councillors. This was not an action sanctioned by our federal council. It is not an action that came before our federal council. And so I am asking people to just have patience as we transition. And we are in a big transition. Most of our councillors will have their terms expiring next month. I'm very excited to work with our next group of councillors. And I am not going to be distracted any further from really the work that has to be done. That is really what we're here to do. Every single person who is running as a candidate, every single person who is working as a volunteer and has worked since the last election to prepare us for the upcoming election, every single person who is a member of our party deserves to have certainty. They deserve to know that my attention is focused where it belongs. Today on Toronto Centre, on the needs of this extraordinary community who deserves real representation, and more generally on the issues that people associate our party with. This is a moment that the climate is taking front and center stage. We see all over this country the forest fires, the choking smoke, the sea life baking in the water from the heat. These are the things that we need to be talking about. This community, someone will probably, unfortunately, die today from a toxic poisoning. Someone is almost certainly sitting in their living room thinking about their eviction because their payments through the CRB have been cut. These are the issues that people are talking to me about at the door. I am going to be focused on that, and I think that that's what our members expect.
Alex, do you have a follow-up?
Yes, definitely. I'd just like to repose the first question. Are you going to file a response in court to this legal application? And also ask if, you know, given what we've heard from the fund that the party's bleeding money, they are looking to take away the pre-writ funding that you were supposed to get in Toronto Centre. We have this cloud of turmoil that still hangs over the party, it seems. Are you going to be able to mount even a national campaign at this point, or are you just going to focus on Toronto Centre?
Oh, well, there's your answer. That was a honk of support. We are running a national campaign. I just introduced you, I think for the second time in most cases, to our fantastic candidates that are running here in Toronto. I'm going to be introducing you to more of our candidates running across the country. Of course, we are running a national campaign, and of course, we are seeking to win votes all over the country. If people in Canada are looking for a party that is proposing the most ambitious, the most daring, and the most doable policies on the climate, and have been for years, then they need to look no further. If they're looking for a party that is seeking to create a new culture in politics, one that is more collaborative, one that is more cooperative, one that is more inclusive, then they should look to us, and they should certainly look to my leadership, because that is exactly what I'm about. And in terms of our, I know that was a pregnant pause, Rosie. But in terms of our party, in terms of our campaign, as you can see, is extremely healthy. There are other campaigns that are extremely healthy, but if anyone would like to donate to our campaign or to the Green Party of Canada, they're always welcome to do it, and we are grateful for their support. So, as I said, we are moving forward. We are looking to the future. We are resilient, and I'm always going to be seeking to unify our party.
Thank you, Alex. The next question is Ryan Tumulty from the National Post. Go ahead, Ryan. One question, one follow-up, please. And I would just like to say I'm sorry about the audio. Seems to be nothing we can do right now, so please bear with us. Thank you. Go ahead, Ryan, please.
Yeah, good morning, Ms. Paul. Thanks for taking our questions. I wanted to ask why, when this confidence vote came up, you decided to go challenge it through arbitration rather than face the confidence vote. As you've said a few times, it's just a small number of board members who are doing this. Why not face the confidence vote head on instead of going through arbitration?
So again, I am not going to, I am trying always to model the behavior that I think we need more of in politics. I'm not going to discuss things that are internal party matters. I'm not going to discuss things that are not supposed to be in the public domain. But what I did say on Monday, and I'll say again, and it's going to be a recurring theme for me, is that I believe that one of my primary jobs is to provide our volunteers, our members, and our candidates with the certainty that they need in order to be able to have the strongest election campaign possible whenever that comes. That is my job as a leader, and everything that I am doing at this moment is an attempt to try to provide that. Our party is one whose voice is needed. The voice of more Green MPs is needed, because when we have that, we have more people that are in Parliament that are thinking about the people who elected them. We have more people who are thinking about the climate and how Canada can do its fair share to bend the curve on our warming planet. We have more people that are thinking about progressive social policies like universal pharmacare, like decriminalization, like banning conversion therapy, like banning the homophobic blood ban, like ensuring that every single person can have access to a post-secondary education. And so everything that I do is to make sure that we have as many Greens elected in the next election as possible so they can continue to do that good work.
Do you have a follow-up, Ryan, please?
Yeah. Again, I'm just trying to get, though, you had an option to simply face this confidence vote. It seems like the arbitrator's ruling came down on Sunday and the vote would have been on Tuesday. If you had faced the vote and won it, it would be behind you. You would have that certainty that you say you want to provide to the campaign and to candidates. I'm wondering why you went through arbitration instead of facing the confidence vote directly.
Again, with the greatest of respect, there are a lot of assumptions in your question, and again, I'm not going to enter into all of those. Both, as I said, because I don't consider it to be a professional or disciplined thing to do, but also because I'm going to really insist moving forward that the focus should be where it needs to be, which is on the issues. First and foremost, on the issues. I entered politics and continue to remain in politics because I am deeply passionate about the possibilities that we have in Canada to do some things better, to ensure that every single person in Canada can lead a life of dignity from the beginning to the end by completing our social safety net. and to ensure that Canada finally does its fair share to bend the curve on our greenhouse gas emissions. We have not succeeded in doing that in any year in the past 6 years. Our emissions continue to rise every single year. We are one of the top 5 worst emitters in the world. The heat dome that settled over the West is something that is terrifying in that instance, but is something that is going to become more frequent as climate change continues to move forward. So those are the issues, and those are the things that people are contacting me about. Those are the things that people in this community are asking me about. I have to reflect what people in the community want me to be talking about, and it is not this. It is not this, and so I'm going to keep my attention focused where it belongs.
Thank you, Ms. Paul. Thank you, Ryan. The next question is Kevin Gallagher from CTV. La prochaine question, c'est Kevin Gallagher, CTV. Allez-y, Kevin. Go ahead, please, Kevin. Kevin, are you there?
Sorry, I just had to unmute myself. Thank you for taking our questions, Ms. Paul. I can understand that you don't necessarily want to comment about the specifics of the legal matter, but I would like to ask you, this is, a legal appeal against you by the Green Party of Canada. So what do you say to members of your party and supporters of your political movement when there's an election on the way and it appears that you and the party are embroiled in a legal dispute?
First, I would say what I said before, which is look to the future. This is something that is extremely time limited, and we have a very bright future ahead of us. Beginning next month, we have a new set of councillors. Every day, we are approving more candidates for the next election. We have been doing a lot of excellent work within the party. We have our most talented and qualified shadow cabinet ever and our most diverse shadow cabinet ever. We are absolutely on track to run our most diverse slate of candidates ever. Over 70% of our approved applicants to run in our nomination contest have come from equity-seeking groups, which is an extraordinary accomplishment for us. And so I tell people that if they're looking for a party that is focused on the issues that matter to them, that is focused on progressive policies, that is focused on the climate, that is offering the best policies in those areas, and is also willing to work with all of the other parties in order to get that work done and those laws passed and those policies put in place, then they should look to us. I want to stress again that this is not, and I say this because there are many excellent people on our council. This was not a decision of our council. This was a decision of a small group that did not seek the approval of council for their decision. And I also want to say that I hope that the media will be very careful in its choice of words going forward. As I said, I had 3 weeks without any press conferences, any interviews regarding any of this. I have been speaking about the issues since I've been taking questions again. I am not feuding with anyone. I am not seeking to. There is no infighting going on. This is really a one-sided attack that is focusing attention where it shouldn't be. I am seeking what I've always sought, which is unity, and to make sure that our party can do its good work on behalf of people in Canada.
Thank you. Do you have a follow-up, Kevin? Est-ce que vous avez un suivi?
Thank you. I do have a follow-up. You mentioned that you will run a national campaign. Are you committing to run a Green Party candidate in all of the 338 electoral ridings in the next federal election?
That is always our mandate, and we've taken great pride in being able to do that in successive election cycles. So that is absolutely what we'll be seeking to do in the election, which again, I've said before, and I know I'm not the only party leader to say this, but people in this community, I'll speak for Toronto Centre, when I speak to them, many of them are still struggling. There is a very high level of low-income, marginalized, racialized, and Indigenous peoples living in Toronto Centre. And these are the groups that have been most impacted, amongst the most impacted by the pandemic. And anyone who thinks that this pandemic is over for them is wrong. Anyone who thinks that they have been able to get back on their feet and that it's over and that they've turned the page, they're wrong. And so anyone who is seeking to plunge us into an election while people are still seeking to get their lives back on track, to recover from all of the damage and pain and difficulty of the pandemic, would be making a mistake. And so I certainly hope that no election is going to be called soon, but if it is, we'll be ready and we'll be running candidates all over the country.
Thank you, Ms. Paul. Thank you, Kevin. Next question is Ashley Burke, CBC. La prochaine question, c'est Ashley Burke, CBC. Allez-y. Go ahead, Ashley, please.
Hi, Ms. Paul. Thank you for taking my question as well. And this will sound repetitive, but we haven't really heard a clear answer on this yet. Will you be filing anything in court in response to this legal battle, or are you going to be ignoring this and not defending yourself?
Again, I mean, I respect the need to continue to ask the question, but I hope that you'll respect that I'm not going to give you a different answer. I am not seeking to litigate or to discuss anything of this nature in these forums. I don't think that it's appropriate. This news is very new, and I will be considering it. I will be thinking about what is best. But what I can assure you of is quite simply that whatever I do, it is going to be focused on what is best for our members, our volunteers, and our candidates. They deserve the right to be able to go into the next election as prepared as possible, with as much unity as possible. And my job as a leader is to do all that I can to make sure that they have the very best conditions possible for the next election. We all know that other parties have been here before. I mean, what we are going through is something that every other party has been through before. My job is to help us turn the page as quickly as possible so that we can get back to the issues that matter as quickly as possible. And that has already begun, and that's what I'm going to be doing going forward.
Thank you, Ashley. Do you have a follow-up, please?
I do. And why, I know you touched on this, but why not test your confidence with your membership? If you don't have the support of your own party, how do you expect to earn the confidence of Canadians?
Well, there's an automatic leadership review after the next election, and there's nothing, our members, of course, will always and should always have the last say. So just to correct you on that, I mean, of course, I mean, that goes without saying. We will have an automatic leadership review after the next election. There are other opportunities as well for our members to voice their opinion. I think that you're conflating things, though. The decisions of a small group of outgoing councillors is not the party. This is the party. You know, this is the party. And the party wants to move on. Our first mandate in our Constitution is to get more Greens elected. And usually we only get to do that once every 4 years. And so in an election year, and I hope that it's not, but if this is an election year, that is where our focus needs to be. Getting people like Phil DeLuna and Mimi Lee and Adrian Curry and Anna Keenan and Mike Morris and all of the other extraordinary candidates that we have been confirming across the country, getting them elected so that they can be a strong Green voice on behalf of their communities, the way that I am seeking to be on behalf of Toronto Centre.
Thank you, Ms. Paul. Thank you, Ashley. Next question is Christopher Reynolds, Canadian Press. Go ahead, Chris, please. One question, one follow-up. Allez-y, Christopher.
Hi, Ms. Paul. Thanks very much for taking our questions. So we're seeing today a boisterous launch of your campaign office in Toronto Centre, but also the party continues to deprive your campaign in this riding of $250,000 that had been earmarked to presumably increase that boisterousness and get more staff out, more resources. I'm wondering to what extent, in spite of the enthusiasm of your supporters here today, is that lack of funding hampering your campaign there at all, or is it?
We are doing just fine. we are doing well. There's no question that having support from the Central Party would help. But we have continued to grow election cycle after election cycle. I have been the candidate here twice before. Every election cycle, we gain more volunteers, we gain more members in this community, we gain more support, we gain more donations. And so that is what has been fueling us during this entire period. I hope that you see that opening our office here is certainly a sign of good health. We are going to have this office open. I know that there's some real ambition in our team. There's some that want us to be open 12 hours, 14 hours a day. We want to be open to the community, and we have a very strong, robust campaign. But look, Chris, you know, we can always do with more. We can certainly always do with more volunteers. Anyone who lives in Toronto that wants to come help us out is very welcome. We can certainly do with more donations. You can go to annamiepaul.ca to make a donation. We can certainly always do with the encouragement and support. So anyone who is excited by our daring vision for this community, anyone who believes that these hard-working, civic-minded residents deserve real representation, they know where to find us now, and they're very welcome.
To follow up, I'm wondering also if the party or the federal council has given any indication that when and if an election is called, that they will be rehiring those temporarily laid off 9 to 15 staff who were cut in the past month.
That would be a question for them. I believe that that's the case, but it's a question for them. I, as the leader of our party, have no role whatsoever in managing the finances of our party. I certainly have a role to play in fundraising for our party, which, as you've seen, at least up until June, was extremely healthy and beat our quarters from 2020, which is great. But beyond that, any questions about the financial management of our party needs to be put to the fund.
Thank you, Alex. Palak Mangat from the Hill Times. Palak, do you still want to ask a question? Your hand went down. I wasn't sure. Palak, est-ce que tu es là?
Yes, hi. Can you hear me okay? Sorry about that.
That's okay. Go ahead, please. One question, one follow-up, and then we have one final question from Alexis en français.
Yes, thank you. So, Ms. Paul, sorry, and again, I apologize again if this is repetitive. I just want to go back. I do take your point that you want to provide certainty to your members, but I guess my question is, could threats to your leadership not be reinvigorated if the new slate of councillors feels the same way as what you framed as a small group of the current ones? And I do take your point that my previous colleague had many assumptions in his question, but my question to you is just, are you also not assuming something there as well? Thank you.
I'm assuming goodwill, that people that are running for a council are seeking to do so in the best interest of our party. I'm not taking anything for granted at all, but I would say that kind of far-reaching speculation, I honestly don't see the point of it, and really, quite frankly, at this moment, given where I'm standing, given the things that I'm hearing, when I'm in St. Jamestown, when I'm in Cabbagetown, when I'm in Moss Park, it's just simply that kind of far-reaching speculation is just not where my mind is at. I am thinking now about the people in Moss Park in the encampments who are worried that those encampments are going to be cleared any day. I'm thinking about the people in Allen Gardens who continue to live who continue to live in makeshift housing because there is a lack of affordable housing in this neighborhood. And I'm thinking of the senior who asked me how she was going to make ends meet with rising inflation and without the benefits that she needs to support herself. Those are the things that I'm thinking about for this community. And of course, I'm thinking about all of the national issues that a national leader should be thinking about. So I'm taking this day by day. I'm taking this with that focus. And, those other things, we'll see it. We'll take those things when we come to them.
Alak, do you have a follow-up question? Est-ce que tu as un suivi, s'il vous plaît?
Yes, thank you. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. I just want to push back a little bit on that and say, essentially, I'm just curious what the long game here is for you. And, and again, just going back to that certainty, I'm curious, do you acknowledge that the certainty you're trying to provide through this process could be short-term or short-lived on an eve of an election. And like you said, as you are trying to mount the national campaign, I'm just curious how you can shrug that off. Yeah, sorry, I'll leave it at that.
No, it's an absolutely reasonable question, and of course there are other hurdles to face. I'm doing what I said I am doing is doing all that I can to try to provide as much certainty as possible, but it isn't simply up to me, and it never will be simply up to me. We have a structure where our council is important. We have a structure where our members obviously are the most important, and this is the structure that we have, and one of the reasons that I joined the party in the first place. So can I guarantee that I'm going to be in this role forever? Absolutely not. Our members will have a say after the next election. There's an automatic leadership review. And if we do enter an election soon, and as I said, I hope we don't, but if we do, that leadership review will come soon. If the next set of councillors decides that they want to pursue any of these actions, then that will also be their prerogative. So as I said, my job for as long as I'm in this job is to do it with honor, to try to do it with dignity, to try to focus my attention where it should be, on our members, our volunteers, and our candidates, and most importantly, to do what I ran to do in the first place, which was to represent our outstanding, daring, ambitious green policies to people in Canada, because I know that those policies would make a difference in their lives, and I know that they should be considering voting for green candidates in the upcoming elections.
Thank you, Ms. Paul. On a quelques questions du journal politique. Alexis Roy-Letarte, allez-y, une question, un suivi, s'il vous plaît. Thank you. Go ahead, Alexis.
Parfait, merci beaucoup. Bonjour, Madame Paul. J'aimerais savoir, en vue de la prochaine élection, au Québec, les intentions de vote sont d'à peine 6% pour le Parti Vert. Comment allez-vous faire pour monter...
Un instant, pardon, un instant, je n'entends pas très bien, un instant. C'est ça l'ambiance. Je l'adore, mais il y a beaucoup de bruit. Un instant. OK, est-ce que vous pouvez répéter, s'il vous plaît?
Parfait, merci beaucoup. Désolé. J'aimerais savoir, en vue de la prochaine élection, les appuis au Parti Vert du côté du Québec sont d'à peine 6%. Comment allez-vous faire pour monter ces appuis-là, espérer obtenir des sièges au Québec au profit du Bloc québécois et du Parti libéral, et donc d'obtenir les premiers sièges en sol québécois? Comment allez-vous faire pour séduire le cœur des Québécois pour le Parti Vert du Canada?
Oh là là, désolé, je n'entends pas très bien votre question. Il y a beaucoup de bruit en ce moment. Si je comprends bien, c'était une question sur le Québec et notre parti au Québec. Le province de Québec est une province énormément progressiste. C'est une province qui a démontré plusieurs fois que le climat et le changement climatique et lutter contre la crise climatique est une de leurs priorités. Je note que hier, je crois que c'est hier ou ça fait 1 ou 2 jours, que le gouvernement québécois a décidé d'annuler le projet LNG, qui est une excellente nouvelle. Alors, on cherche à gagner des sièges au Québec. On cherche parce que je crois que nos politiques progressistes sont des politiques qui correspondent aux besoins et aux vœux et aux intérêts des personnes au Québec. On cherche aussi à gagner des sièges parce que nos politiques et nos ambitions pour le climat sont alignées avec les ambitions des Québécois et Québécoises. Alors, moi, j'espère d'avoir l'opportunité de passer beaucoup de temps au Québec. Ma première visite, en fait, était à Montréal quand on avait le lèvement des restrictions. Alors, j'espère d'être là sur le terrain, rencontrer les Québécois et Québécoises et leur introduire à notre parti et leur présenter nos politiques.
Bien sûr. Donc, j'espère que vous aurez, comme vous l'espérez, plusieurs sièges au Québec. Et quelles sont ces circonscriptions-là que vous allez cibler? Vous avez parlé, justement, vous voulez obtenir des sièges. Est-ce qu'il y en a qui ont été ciblés par le parti?
Pardon, si vous pouvez répéter?
Je disais, vous disiez que vous espériez obtenir plusieurs circonscriptions en sol québécois. Quelles ont été ces circonscriptions-là qui ont été ciblées par le parti?
Honnêtement, ce n'est pas une bonne connexion, désolé, mais si vous voulez m'appeler, je peux répondre à votre question, mais la connexion n'est pas... Oh, comblé. Bon, on cherche les votes partout. Il y a des progressistes partout au Québec. On sait, sur l'île de Montréal, il y a beaucoup de circonscriptions qui sont en jeu, mais il y a des autres circonscriptions dans des autres régions du Québec aussi. Alors, l'idée pour nous, c'est de présenter avec beaucoup de fierté un programme qui correspond aux ambitions des Québécoises et Québécois pour le climat et aussi en ce qui concerne notre filet social. Nous sommes un parti énormément progressiste. Je sais qu'il y a beaucoup de Québécoises et Québécoises qui cherchent un parti progressiste pour le représenter au Parlement. Je crois que c'est nous. Je leur invite à rencontrer les candidats et candidates qui se présentent dans leur circonscription. Et je suis très confiant qu'ils vont rencontrer des personnes qui sont là pour représenter leur communauté, qui sont là pour leur offrir une vraie représentation. Merci. Merci. Thank you. Sorry?
I believe there is a ribbon cutting ceremony.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Thank you again to all of our wonderful volunteers who came up with this, I think, quite adorable idea. I can't wait to do this. Here we go. Green ribbon and everything. Okay, here we go. These are sharp?
Yeah, they're good. Nice and sharp.
Here we go. And we're off. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Watch out. Thank you, everyone.